Hey everyone, Joe here. Today we finally have our third video in a three-part series to help people better understand Lightroom. Our first video was in importing photos. Our second video was on the develop tools. And our final video today is going to be on exporting photos and understanding the file formats. So this is going to be a fairly long video, so let's go ahead here and get started. Okay, as we can see, I have a series of photos here that I want to export. Now, if you want to export them, you need to actually click on them or highlight them. Let's say like our first one here, and we want to export up to another photo here. Let's click on Shift and we can highlight them all. You know, that's the best way to select your photos. And when you get ready to export them, you can go down and click on the export button. Okay. Now we have our export dialog box here, and I want to explain everything through here the best I can. Okay. First, we talk about our export location. Okay. You can export to a specific folder, choose a folder later, and also same folder as the original photo. Now I like to put mine in specific folders as I export them, but you can choose a folder later if you want to set up an export preset and be able to change the name as you go along. But for this one, I'm just going to have it on specific folder, and for this I'm putting it in the subfolder tutorial. Now the folder location that I've chosen is my desktop. Okay, we can have this add to catalog, but it's an option if you want to. Okay, now we have one that says existing files, ask what to do. Alright. What this does, if you go to export to a folder and you already have that folder with a file with that in there that has the same file name, it asks you what do you want to do. You want to append a different number to it, change the name, you know, of that nature. That way it kind of helps in case you have duplicate files. Okay, now we have file naming, and we have quite a few options here. We can rename a file, we can do a file sequence, date file name, custom name. There's quite a few options here, but I'm going to dive into here the custom name option better. You can put in here tutorial, and it will name it tutorial.jpg, which you see there at the bottom. I have JPEG chosen. Okay, and you can have the option to change the extension from uppercase to lowercase. I leave mine on lowercase because it's just what I prefer. Now we can edit these and change it up and create our own, way we want our files exported. For example, I have custom name here, but then I can go through and add date and quickly add insert. Okay, then we can go through here, we can change file name, file number, suffix, and that works pretty good. Okay, now you can go through and say you don't like that one, you can click delete. Okay, or you can insert original file name. Now you have quite a few options on most of these. Whatever you want. You can even put down sequences if you want to, different types. I use sequences mostly when I'm exporting files for time lapses. That seems to work the best for me. Okay, but you can even go in here and put in your own special characters. For example, if I wanted to put a hyphen in there, I can put a hyphen in. Or if I want to put an underscore, you can put an underscore. You can change these around any way you want to. And we see an example here. It says tutorial. We got our date. But we can even change it here. Maybe I prefer the big long file date. 2015-06-10. Okay, that works pretty good. And we can click on done. And we'll see it here. Now we can change this one. We'll set in Exodus photography. Oh, typo. So that can help you export your files much better. Or we can just put it in. You know, whatever you want. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to put it tutorial. Keep it fairly simple. Okay, but I prefer this method, but each to their own how they actually want to set their own files up. Okay, now if you have video, you can include video here, and that gives you the option to export it as it was, or as MPEG, 4, whatnot, or H.264 codec. So it has the option to re-export them, but since mine are already in H.264 anyway, there's no real sense in it. Okay, so I'm going to close the video, get that out of the way. But here's what I want to focus on, quite a bit for everyone. And this seems to be the biggest question a lot of folks have. And that's, the image files here. A lot of people want to export their files, some for photo prints and some for Facebook. So I'm going to explain these. JPEG image format is an 8-bit image format. Now that's 8 bits per color, RGB. So 24 total bits, which is not a lot of color. Now, if you go down here to say like Tiff. Now, Tiff has the option of 8 bits per component color, which is total 24 bit, or 16 bits per component color, which is a total of 48 bits. So obviously 16 bits is going to give you much more color, and that's what I highly recommend everyone to use. Now we have the option for compression. This is for a lossless compression or a lossly. Okay, the difference is if you do use zip to compress these down, yes, the files can be smaller. However, you're going to end up losing information. Then it should be information that's really not needed within the file, and should preserve it the best it can. However, I don't recommend it, but if you want to use it, it's there. It's kind of my own personal preference. I find keeping mine at 16 bits and with no compression to give you the best image quality for prints, and that's what I want when I do my prints, is the best image quality. Okay, you also have PSD file for Photoshop. It's the option of 8-bit or 16-bit also. And they also have the option for DNG. Okay. DNG, like I explained before, is digital negative. It's open file format, originally developed by Adobe. So you have the option to export files as DNG. Now, but DNG is good for other programs like Photoshop and any other program that might use DNG. But for printing, you want to kind of steer away from that. Okay. Now you have the option to use a lossly compression also for DNG. Now try to compress it down. But if you don't want to do that, you really want to stay with a lossless, and that's what it is. It loses less data. Now I'm going to get back to Tiff here. Like I said, JPEG is good, but it's 8-bit. This is what you kind of want to use if you export into say Facebook. Now if you're going to export, I recommend something around 60 or 50 on the quality for JPEG, because you're not looking for the best quality when it comes to JPEG. And this is what I recommend, around 60 for quality for sharing and stuff. Now Tiff, you want 16 bits. Now I'm going to explain 16 bits is still more than you need, because raw files from the actual camera are still only 14-bit per component. So each RGB, is only 14 bits total. Okay. Now you have the options here for color space, sRGB. Normally if you're doing JPEG and exporting, sRGB will likely be the one you might want to use. But if you've been editing in Adobe RGB, that's fine. Now keep in mind, you want to check your camera. Most cameras like my Canon have the option for Adobe RGB or sRGB. Now since sRGB is, even though it's more standard for web and stuff, For photography, I really prefer mine in Adobe RGB. Okay, so keep in mind, JPEGs are nice. I don't really recommend them for if you're going to have photos to print. Maybe some if you're just wanting to back them up and decide to print later. It's still a good option. But the problem with JPEGs is when you open one, do an edit and resave it, you end up losing a lot of data, and it causes a lot of file degradation and makes the image start looking more grainy, more harsher, and that's something you really want to steer away from. You know, with Tiff, you don't have that problem if you won't need to go back and do a quick edit. Okay, now of course it has the option, you know, to an original file, which is I use is Canon, you know, Camera Raw. So, like I said, what you want to use depends upon you. Now, for this tutorial, I'm going to go put it as JPEG because I want to talk about, you know, exporting files. Now, if you're going to shoot, you know, TIFF, you know, we'll get into that in just a moment. But JPEG, you know, say about 60 on the compression. You know, don't worry about that one as much. Okay, now we're talking about image sizing, and this is something that you know, a lot of people want to know about. Okay, we have the options here for height and width. Let you choose, you know, the height or width of your image or whatnot. You know, you can choose by dimensions, which to me is, you know, pretty much the same. You know. And you also got which dimension you can change, and you can choose pixels, inches. So if you choose inches, you know, I'll give you an idea here. You know, pixels, but I prefer height and width. Also, you can choose inches if you want to, or even centimeters. Now, for the most part, I put mine on long edge and put it to pixels. Okay. But you even have the option for megapixels, so you want to export just 5 megapixel files, or percentage, make the file smaller. You know, say if the files are twice as big as you need, you can put down 50%. I don't use that one too often. Most of the time I use mine long edge. That way I can, you know, say if I want mine to be if I'm exporting a file I know it's already a 16:9 ratio, I can export it at 1920. And I know it'll be 1920 by 1080 when it actually gets exported. Another thing I like to do is for say Facebook, I like to put in 900 pixels. Okay, 900 pixels, let me export them, and I know everything come out will be, you know, on JPEG, 60% compression, 900 pixels. It's not a large file. It makes it quick uploading. And if somebody does steal my photo, then they're not going to get a huge, you know, nice photo to be able to, you know, pirate it around, you know, reprint or reuse on the web somewhere. They're just going to get a small file that's still big enough for everybody to enjoy, but not big enough to really do any, you know, financial damage to me. Now, another thing on here you see is resolution. Now, here's what I'm going to talk about here. Now, I'm going to go back up here to height and width. Now, I'm going to choose inches. Okay. Let's say I have a file that I want to print out, and let's say it is a 5:7. Okay, that's a width of 7, height of 5. Okay, I can choose my resolution here, and it will actually print out a file that should be at the resolution you want at this width. Now, this isn't always used. Now, a lot of people still want to know a resolution. This resolution is only used when you're choosing inches or centimeters here. Okay, I want to repeat that. Resolution is only used in exporting files when you choose inches or centimeters. When you choose pixels, no matter what you put in here for resolution, this doesn't change. Now I'm going to show you why. You see here where it says pixels per inch. Okay, if you're choosing the pixels you want, say I want this one to be 1920, and I'm going to put long edge. No matter what I print, it will always be, or export, it will always be 1920 pixels wide. Now, however I print this out, it is irrelevant. So keep in mind, resolution is only used when you choose inches, or centimeters. Okay, so let's go down here now to sharpen for. Now we can have the option to sharpen for screen, matte paper, or glossy paper. I actually don't prefer any of these. I keep it turned off. Simply for the matter, I am going to do all my pre-sharpening in Lightroom. And each photo will have their own amount of sharpening needed, if needed. Okay, metadata, you can choose to keep just your copyright or your copyright info, all except camera and camera raw info, or all metadata. So you get to include what you want. You can also have an option to remove person info, remove location info, or write keywords as Lightroom hierarchy. Okay, I just leave all metadata in. Just makes it simple. Okay, let's get over here to watermarking. Now, I want to help us create a new watermark here. Now, right now it says simple copyright watermark. All right, I'm going to change that one. Let's go down, click on edit watermarks. Okay, now it's going to show us one of our photos here, and then by default it's going to say Joe Jackson because that's what's in OS X here, my operating system. But let's go and change that one. I want to put in Exodus Photography. Okay. Now that we got that done, I'm gonna go up here with this text options and change my font. Now I use a Cinzel, which is an open, commercially free to use font. I'm going to use Cinzel Decorative. I'm going to style. I'm going to put in bold or black. I'm going to choose the black option, which is just a different style it uses. And you can choose the opacity, the color, offset, radius, angle. So that's for your shadow. Really hard to see the shadow. Now I go down to Watermark Effects. Now you don't have a lot of options here, but you do have some. You can choose opacity to it. And I'm going to keep mine about 75. Okay. Now size options here, we have proportional. We have fit. And we have fill. Now I'm going to choose proportional. Now where it sets, we have the option to actually move it out to the side. So if something doesn't look just right, we can move it to the side and actually move it up a little bit as well. Not only that, we can choose the rotation, and we can also choose where we want it. Choose a different anchor spot. Let's put it anywhere you want it. I'm going to put it in the center for this one. And you see it gives me the option to still lift it up a little bit higher. And I can choose proportional, a little bit bigger. And choose my opacity to go down a little bit more. Now obviously to me that is annoying, but I wanted to show it for demonstration purposes. I like to keep mine a little bit lower in the corner. And not as big and gawky. I'll put my opacity at 50 here. Now that we got that done, let's save this one. We'll go up here, click save, and let's choose it as basic white corner. And click create. So now we have basic white corner as I listed here. Okay. Now that we got that done, and maybe we just want to keep all these settings. So I can go up here now and click add and keep it as a preset. Now I'm going to name this preset. Actually, I'm going to do one more thing first. I'm going to change this to subfolder to Facebook photos. Okay. There we go. and click add. Now I'm going to use this right here. I'm going to keep it in user presets. My name this is Facebook export. And click create. So now we have an actual preset for exporting files to Facebook. Now, if you want to update these, you can go ahead and change. Like I had that one at 1920 by 10. I want to change it down to 900 instead of 1920. So now I can go over here, right click on Facebook and go to update with current settings. So now we go over here and click on Facebook export, and now it says 900 pixels. Now let's go ahead and click export. Okay everyone, well I hope that's helped you out. I hope that helps explain a few different things about exporting files, and I hope it helps you. If you're interested in publishing services, I will have a video coming out more on publishing services, but I didn't want to make this video no longer than it already has. So look for a video in a few weeks on publishing services, since I need to update one for Lightroom 6 and CC anyway. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, a big thumbs up. Big thumbs up is always highly appreciated. And if you're not a subscriber yet, please take time to subscribe. Subscribing is free. It's for you and lets you know when I release more videos. And until next time, everyone, thanks for watching.